Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen B, and you are tuned in live to the show of the land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Yes, you heard that right, Cleveland and Columbus. So starting tonight, we're going to start covering the Crew, the Blue Jackets, and some college football. So in addition to, of course, the Guardians, the Browns, and the Cavs. So we're going to talk tonight about the Guardians, where things are at, how their series with Detroit went, upcoming series with the Dodgers, some injuries, some injury updates, and some updates on pitching and pitchers coming back from injury. And then we're going to talk Browns, preseason, training camp, coming down to the wire on the final 53, and some contract restructures. And then we'll talk Cavs schedule release, the Crew, and some college football updates. So let's get into the Guardians. So the Guardians finished a series with Detroit on Sunday. Not a good series. They played 4 games and they went 1-3. They had a doubleheader on Friday. Thursday's game was rained out, so they played a doubleheader on Friday. They lost the first one, won the second one, and then they lost Saturday, and then they lost Sunday. Was lots of fun to watch, but the pitching was The bullpen did all right. They weren't high scoring games, so it is what it is. Detroit scored and Cleveland didn't, so that's seems to be the way it's been going. We were hitting really well there for a few games, and now suddenly they can't hit again. So if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Ramirez got a single hit like the entire series. He may have in the game they won, but he definitely didn't get any hits on Sunday, and I don't believe he got any on Saturday either. And with Josh Naylor still being out with that oblique injury, not good. We really need Jose to start hitting. The pitchers have been, doing their best. A lot of the runs have been, one bad pitch, home run. Not much you can do about that. You can't take it back once it's thrown. So hopefully they'll settle down and get back on track. But last I saw, they're 5 or 5.5 games out of first place. And if they don't take the division, they're not going to the playoffs. So unless the Twins have a massive meltdown, I don't think we'll be talking playoff baseball this year. But we'll see what happens. They're going to be starting a series with the Dodgers tonight. It's a 3-game series. And Ahmed Rosario will be coming home for the first time since he was traded, playing for the Dodgers. Syndergaard is getting the start tonight, so we'll see how he does. His last start was okay. He pitched 5 innings, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he'll do a little bit better and maybe get us to the 6th or 7th inning, because we just don't want to see that bullpen. And then one good note came out of those wins. In the win on Friday, the second game of the doubleheader, Clase got his 100th save as a Guardians pitcher. So, yay for Clase. Unfortunately, it's been one of his worst seasons as a closer. He has had 9 blown saves, which is no bueno. But, seems to be the way things are going for the Guardians in general this year. I did just see a report that Quantrill will be pitching in Columbus on Saturday, so hopefully that means he'll be making it back into the starting rotation soon. I haven't seen any updates on Bieber or Mackenzie, so we'll see if they make it back before the end of the season. But for right now, it looks like Contrail will be back. David Fry, who has been out with an injury, is making great progress, and they expect him to be back in the lineup soon. Josh Naylor, with his oblique injury, is taking swings in the batting cages, but is not doing team reps yet. So it's probably still going to be a little while before Josh is back, and they probably see no reason to rush it since they are not doing so great right now. But, maybe they could turn it around against the Dodgers. You never know. But that is about all we have for the Guardians. So we're going to take a little break. And then we'll be back to talk Browns. There's lots to talk about with the Browns. They've been doing stuff the last couple of days. So we'll be back on the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Live.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So let's talk some Browns. So last week we played the Eagles in preseason, and it was an 18-18 tie. The first team did not play at all since it was joint practices with the Eagles last week. DTR got the start. Kellen Mond played the second half. For the most part, both did well. There were no big hiccups or any major issues. Cade York was an issue, I guess you could say. He actually made 3 field goals, so we'll give him some props there. But at the end of the game, he missed the game winner, and then there was a penalty on the defense, so he got to re-kick it. And guess what? He missed that one too. Crazy. So, I don't know what's going on with Cade, but, so far the Browns are not giving up on him. So, I hope he doesn't end up costing us some games in the regular season. Of course, regular season games don't generally end in a tie, but, it could happen, if he can't make a field goal. But, he says his confidence is good, so his kicks are going, for the most part, wide right against the Eagles. The second attempt, actually, he overcompensated and it went wide left. So, hopefully he figures that out. I've heard some rumors that the issue isn't him, it's the holder, but I find that hard to believe because if that were the case, they would change the holder. So, we'll see what happens with that. From what I'm hearing from the beat reporters that are at every training camp practice, he is almost 100% at practice. So, hopefully he figures out what is causing the issues in game so that he can fix this, because we all know he's got a heck of a leg. The kid is hitting 70, 80-yard field goals at practice. So he's got the leg. I mean, he's kicked it through the goalposts on a kickoff. So he definitely has the leg. So hopefully he can figure out how to get it through the goalposts when it counts for points. He has not missed any extra points, knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood right now. So far in preseason. So that's a positive. And all of the field goals he has missed are over 40 yards. So we'll cut him a little bit of slack there. But, we all know that a game could come down to needing the kicker to hit a 50-yard field goal. And if that happens, we got to be able to count on him. And right now, I don't know about that. So we'll see. But as of right now, he's the only kicker on the roster. So it's him or 2-point conversions. Or going for it on 4th down for the entire season. So that would be fun, right? So Saturday, we're going to be playing Kansas City. In Kansas City. According to Stefanski, the first team will get 20 to 25 reps. But I'm also hearing that could change depending on what Andy Reid does with Kansas City starters. So we'll see how that ends up playing out actually during the game on Saturday. But it will be nice to see the first teamers out there again. We've only gotten to see them for one series so far in the preseason, so hopefully they'll play. They're not planning on playing every single starter, so my assumption would be Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, Joel Bitonio, maybe Denzel Ward probably won't be playing. Most of the new players will be playing: Zadarius Smith, Shelby Harris, Dalvin Tomlinson, Juan Thornhill, Rodney McLeod, Elijah Moore. Marquise Goodwin probably won't be playing because as of this moment, I have not heard any updates on where things stand with the blood clots. But the latest projected 53-man roster I saw had him on IR. So doesn't sound good for him. So we'll see where that goes. But still, prayers up for him that they get those blood clots straightened out, because that's no laughing matter there. Over the last few days, the Browns have been restructuring some contracts like crazy. So they restructured Joe Bitonio, Myles Garrett, and just today they restructured David Njoku. So the Browns now have almost $37 million in cap space. And that's crazy because after the Shelby Harris signing, they only had like 7 or 8 million left. So things are looking up there. And of course, there are some people saying, I hope they plan on using that money, but chances are they intend to roll it over because they've got some pretty big contracts they got to pay out with Watson and those 3 guys I just mentioned that they just restructured: Cooper, Chubb, Denzel. They've got a lot of big contracts, so they're making money available for a rollover so that they have more to work with next year, most likely. I mean, you never know when after the 53 everybody goes down from 90 to 53. They may make some moves, but in most cases, they're going to be replacing somebody that they cut. They're not going to be adding new talent. So, speaking of the 53-man roster, we're getting close to final cutdowns. 1 week from today at 4 p.m., the roster has to go from 90 to 53. Just like that. Crazy. First time it's been like this as long as I can remember. Usually they have gradual cut downs where after each preseason game they have to cut so many and get down to whatever number. But this year it's all on the same day, so they can make cuts whenever they want between now and then, but they have to have them all. They have to have it down to 53 on the 29th at 4 p.m. So we've got a few players that a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with them. We've got Austin Watkins, who's really been putting on a show in the preseason games. And from everything I've been hearing out of training camp, he's doing the same at training camp. So it will be interesting to see how the wide receiver room ends up playing out, because you've already got Cooper, DPJ, Tillman, Elijah Moore, and Bell. So that's 5 who are most likely locks. Though some are saying that Bell isn't a lock. I don't see Andrew Berry getting rid of his 3rd round draft pick from last season. So I am pretty sure Bell is a lock. So that's 5. So the Browns usually keep 6. They may keep 7. But I don't know, because I think they're also going to keep 3 quarterbacks. So we'll see if they end up keeping 7. But anyway, so that's 5. So that leaves 1 spot, maybe 2. And we've got Austin Watkins, who's been showing out in the preseason. We've got Jakeem Grant, our kick and punt returner. He's still listed on the depth chart as the punt and kick returner. Then you've got Jalen Darden, who is listed as the 3rd string punt and kick returner, but also hasn't played because he's been hurt all of preseason. I did hear that he's back at practice today, though, so we'll see if we get to see him on Saturday and how that's going to work out. And then you've got Mike Harley Jr., who's made some decent plays. He played a little for us last year and made some decent plays when we were short at wide receiver. And there's too many wide receivers. So there's going to be quite a few cut. I think they have 13 or 14 wide receivers on the roster right now. So at least half of them are going to be gone. At least half. That's crazy. But I am very interested to see if Watkins ends up making the team, because I think he's shown that he deserves it. But do they have room for him? And a lot's going to depend on how they think they can use Jakeem Grant and if Watkins can do anything on special teams. Because if he can't, that's not going to help his case of making the team. If they can do either Jakeem Grant or Jalen Darden instead, who can also play special teams. So it'll be interesting to see what the final wide receiver room ends up looking like. But no matter what it ends up being, receiver room's pretty solid. And then we also have Jakeem Grant, which, I just spoke about him. So is he better after the Achilles rupture? Can he handle the workload coming back off of that injury? I don't know. We'll see. But I do hear that he's been doing kick returns and punt returns at practice, so that's a positive, and hopefully he's holding up a little bit better, because I heard at the beginning of training camp he was limping after practices because his leg was pretty sore. So hopefully that was just growing pains from coming back from injury, and he'll be okay. And then we've got the center position, Nick Harris. What do you do with Nick Harris? Poor kid comes in, gets injured, season-ending injury in preseason last year after he was given the starting role. Then they sign Ethan Posick. Posick comes in and is amazing. Like, the offensive line didn't drop off at all with a new center. So they go out and they re-sign Posick in the offseason this year. So now you've got Posick as the starting center. So what do you do with Nick Harris? He can't play anything else. He can't play guard. They've tried. He's not good. Trust me. He's not good. So, and then they drafted Whippler in this year's draft. So now they've got 3 centers. They usually don't keep 3 centers. But I have noticed in the last couple of preseason games, they've been playing Whippler at guard. So is that Nick Harris's in? Does Nick Harris make the roster as a center because Whippler can play guard? Maybe. Just maybe. Which would be good for Harris, because it is the last year of his contract. So Davidson Crooks just jumped into the chat and says, "What's good?" Hey, Davidson. Not much, just talking Browns and what's going to happen with the 53-man roster next Tuesday. So after Harris, we have Mahamoud Diabate, linebacker. He showed some moves and some tackling skills in the preseason game last week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Our linebacker room is a little iffy with most of them coming back from season-ending injuries. So Anthony Walker has been practicing. Taki has been practicing. However, I just saw the most recent projection for the 53-man roster, and it has Taki on the IR. So I don't think he's 100% yet after that ACL tear that he suffered. I don't recall what week it was in, but it was close to the end of the season. It was not early on. Anthony Walker's was pretty early. It was like week 2 or 3 or something like that. But Taki I want to say was like 11, 12 maybe. So if that is the case and Taki's not ready to go, that could be the in for Diabate to make the roster. So we've got Walker, Taki, JOK that are for sure locks. And then they signed who did they sign? They signed Adams in the off season, who is more of a special teams player, and then they've got Jordan Kanasic. So Kanasic has been doing really well, and he played last year after everybody got hurt. So pretty sure he's going to make the roster, and they usually keep 6 linebackers. So Diabate just might make it if Taki starts on the IR. So we'll see what happens with that. And then, of course, we've got what's going to happen with Marquise Goodwin with the blood clots. Is he going to be able to play? Are they going to keep him on the roster? Are they going to put him on IR? Are they going to just cut him? What's going to happen there? That is going to be a huge determining factor in which wide receivers they end up keeping. And then we've also got the safety room where we've got D'Anthony Bell, who played for us last year as an undrafted rookie free agent and played very well when he got his opportunities. And then we've got Ronnie Hickman, undrafted free agent from Ohio State, who has been playing very well in preseason. I believe he has 3 interceptions. So which of those 2 are they going to end up keeping? Because chances are they're not going to end up keeping them both. So one will be on the active roster, and they'll probably try and get the other one on the practice squad if they clear waivers. And then we've also got the defensive line. What's going to happen with the defensive line? We've got Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas out with knee injuries, though it does sound like they're not expected to miss a significant amount of time in the season. They are going to miss some time. Most likely, from reports I've been seeing, they are expected back after the bye week, which is very early for us this year. It's week 5. So if that's the case, then chances are they will put them on IR or something and keep them on the roster so that they can get them back in there. But then what do they do in the meantime? So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. As of right now, it looks like for the defensive tackles, Maurice Hurst is probably going to be the last defensive tackle that they end up keeping. So it'll be Hurst, Elliott, Siaki Ika, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Shelby Harris, of course. So we'll see what happens, but I'm very excited to see how this all plays out next week. I will have the final, hopefully, 53-man roster on next week's show, if I can get it all together in time, since its final cutdowns are due in 2 hours before the show starts. So I will try my best. So Joseph Taggart just jumped into the chat and he said, "Let's go, do it for the land." All right, that is going to wrap things up for the Browns. So I am going to take another short break and then we'll be back to talk Cavs, the Crew, and college football. So I will be back on the show of the land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host, JB, and right here we're going to talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
hockey fans. I'm Adam Kernan.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the '08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So before we get into things, I have some chats we're going to talk about. So Joseph said, I can't wait to see if the Pelicans get a trade for Jarrett Allen. No, you can't have him. There have been so many rumors that the Cavs are trying to trade Jarrett Allen. I hope they don't. I love Jarrett. But, I can't control it. I'm not the GM. So we'll see what happens with that. But I hope he's still here next season because I love me some J.A. Sorry, my computer came unplugged. Anywho, so then we have Adam. Good evening, Adam. He says, man, I love hearing a goal horn. Are you a Blue Jackets fan at all, Jen? Well, funny story. I just found out last year that Columbus even had a hockey team. I had no idea. Shows how much I pay attention. So, I am now, Adam. I am now. So, I will be covering the Blue Jackets here in the next few weeks. I got to get more well-versed in hockey and Blue Jackets. But they will be on the agenda coming up in the next few weeks as their season gets ready to kick off. So we don't have a whole lot to talk about with the Cavs. Of course, it's still the off season. Last week we talked about the preseason schedule and the in-season tournament schedule. So now the full schedule has been released. So the Cavs will open the season on October 25th in New Jersey against the Nets. And then their first home game will be on the 27th against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So looking forward to that kicking off. And hopefully we'll still have Jared Allen. But we'll see. And it'll be nice to see the guys back on the court and see some of the new players and how they contribute and how the starting lineup ends up panning out. Who they end up putting in that third spot. Will it be Isaac Okoro or will it be one of the new guys? I don't know. Guess we'll see. So the Crew played Sunday against FC Cincinnati. Was a very one-sided game. The Crew won 3-0. So they are now the holders of the Ohio Cup for soccer. And their saying is Ohio is black and gold. But, you know, as a Browns fan, I can't say that. I just can't. Because, no. So we'll say the bottom 2/3 of Ohio are black and gold. The top is brown and orange. Their next game is at Toronto on Saturday. So we will have the Browns and the Crew both playing on Saturday. And I believe probably the Guardians too. So it'll be a nice, fun-filled Cleveland-Columbus sports day. But they have a 67% win probability against Toronto. So hopefully they'll get another win there in Toronto. And then in the next week or so, we have college football getting started. So we've got Ohio State starting the season at Indiana on September 2nd. Kent State is starting on August 31st at UCF. Mount Union is starting also on September 2nd at Defiance. And Akron will be starting on September 2nd at Temple. So it's going to be interesting to see some college football starting up. I can't wait for football Saturday and Sunday in the next couple of weeks. Woohoo! So Ohio State's going to have a lot of new players out there. So going to be interesting to see how what the offense looks like, especially new quarterback. 2/5 of their offensive line now play for the Browns. So their starting right tackle and their starting center both play for the Browns now. So we'll see how the offensive line looks with some new guys in there. And they lost a couple of receivers in the draft. And, of course, C.J. Stroud plays for the Texans now. So, I'm not sure who their quarterback's going to be. So, we'll see what happens with that. They've been getting some good practices in. So, hopefully they're ready to go. Ryan Day's put a pretty good team out there the last few years. So, hopefully that continues. I don't see it not continuing. And, you know, they've still got Marvin Harrison Jr. So, there's always that. And he can catch anything. So, we'll see. And then we'll see if Mount Union can continue to compete for the title. That will be exciting. A school so close to home, competing for a title. What? That doesn't happen in Cleveland. Come on. What are we going to do if there are titles in Cleveland? There hasn't been one since 2016, and before that, there hadn't been one. We don't even want to say what year. 1964. Crazy. 1964. Ugh. We're due. We're due, Cleveland. We're due. So, I don't think the Guardians are going to get us a title this year. So, maybe the Browns can. Maybe Mount Union can. Maybe Ohio State can. I don't know. Maybe the Cavs. Maybe. I doubt it. They're still pretty young. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. So, we'll see. But I think the most exciting thing coming up is some soccer on Saturday, some preseason football on Saturday, and roster cutdowns on Tuesday. So, we've got some exciting stuff happening in the next few days. So, we'll have lots more to talk about next week. Some more games to cover, and hopefully the final rosters will, well, not the final rosters, but, you know, the initial 53-man roster will be available at the end of, or before my show starts next week. So, looking forward to that. I will do my best to have it for y'all. Hopefully somebody will have it posted so I can just grab it and read it. Because I'll be working before I get on the show, so I don't know that I'll be able to keep track of all the cuts myself. So hopefully somebody will have it all together for me that I can steal. But yeah, so we've got Cavs season starting soon. Well, in about 2 months. 2 months for the Cavs, another week and a half or so for college football, and then the following week NFL football starts. So we've got lots of fun stuff coming up, and then the Guardians will still be playing for a few more weeks, and then hockey will be starting. So I got to get all caught up on what's happening with the Blue Jackets. I know they signed somebody, but I don't remember what his name was. And I forgot to look it up. So we'll talk about that next week. I'll look all of that up and make sure that I have some Blue Jackets stuff for you guys next week. At least a little bit. We'll talk about the new player or new players. Maybe there's more than one that I don't know about. We'll see. I will look into that. And we'll talk about that. So, that is about all that I have for tonight. So, thank you for joining me, Jen B, tonight on the Show of the Land. Be sure to follow me on X, Instagram, and or Threads at BelieveLandGirl. And you can follow the show on X at Show of the Land, on IE Sports Show of the Land, IE. Let's try that again. On X, at Show of the Land, IE. Next up will be the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great night, Cleveland and Columbus.